Alright, let's talk about Seaborn now, which is basically Matplotlib plus plus. If you will, alright. So Seaborn is basically a visualization library that sits on top of Matplotlib, and all it does is make it a little bit prettier to look at, but it also has a bunch of different kind of charts and graphs that we did not have in Matplotlib. And I just in this example we will start with this Seaborn chart library lib in line, meaning that we want to view all of our charts in our browser. Will import pandas as pd, load up a fuel efficiency.csv file that I have uploaded here to my website there, and this is real data for this. So this is the actual data that comes from the US government about the fuel efficiency of every car. They have a record of for the 2019 model year in specific. So let's extract some information from that we can play with. Let's start by extracting the number of gears from the results data frame, and we are gonna do value counts. And if you remember back from our pandas tutorial, that basically gives us back the data, we need to histogram that says how many times each unique value occurs in our data frame. So this should give us back a series that maps the gear numbers to the number of times each unique value appeared. Sorry. We can then just plot that, saying that we want to so right now we are just using Matplotlib as is just to visualize this data, and there you have it. So you can see that 8 speed transmissions seem to be the most common one, followed by 6 speed, and we have sort of an exponential drop off there to other more obscure values. Now let's use Seaborn. So Seaborn in its most basic form can just make Matplotlib look better. So all we need to do is say import Seaborn as SNS, and then we can say sns.set, and all that does is replace the default settings in Matplotlib with more visually modern looking settings that Seaborn has given us. Matplotlib is pretty old. I mean, it does back to Matplot, and it's kind of showing its age quite frankly, so this gives it a more modern look and feel. So now we can do that same exact bar chart, but with the Seaborn default applied. You can see it's a little bit prettier. We have more muted tones here, and it's also against this nice little graphical background here that actually let you visualize that grid a little bit better. Otherwise pretty much the same, but it's just a little bit easier on the eyes, right? Let's dive into some more depth there. Let's take a closer look at the data that you have used. So here our raw data frame that we can actually load it up, that came from government here, and we will just had to take a look at the first 5 rows here as an example. So the information I have extracted are the car manufacturer like Aston Martin or Volkswagen. Sorry, the car line, which is basically the model, the engine, displacement, that sorry, it's a city miles per gallon fuel efficiency, it's highway fuel efficiency, the combined city plus highway by mph value, and the number of gears that each car has. So that's the information that we have to play with here. Now Seaborn has some plots that Matplotlib does not have. So for example, there is dist plot, and that's a way of actually plotting a histogram together with a smooth distribution overlaid on top of that histogram. So let's take a look at that on the combined MPG column, and that seems to be kind of like the most common MPG ratings for a vehicle. And we can overlay this sort of trend curve here automatically as part of dist plot. So that's something C1 is doing for us automatically without us even trying. So that makes it a little bit easier to visualize the bigger trend here, and you can see what's kind of helpful because we had these like weird values in between these two values, so it seems like there seems to be some sort of quantization that occurs in our data that we can smooth over a little bit with that trend line. So that's sometimes a useful way to visualize. Another thing you can have in C1 is the pair plot. That's also something unique to C1, and this is cool stuff because it lets you visualize plots of every possible combination of a set of attributes. So you can like just look at every possible way of visualizing a set of values and try to find the ones that look interesting, that might be useful to investigate more deeply. So as an example, let's classify cars by how many cylinders they have, and we will look for the relationship between how many cylinders each car has and their city MPG rating, their highway MPG rating, and their combined MPG rating. So let's just start by extracting those columns from our data frame into df2 in the same syntax. So we introduced in our pandas tutorials to just extract these columns into a new data frame. So we now have a new set of rows here that only contain the cylinders and the MPG columns from our original data frame. Now watch this. If we do pair plot on that new data frame df2, we can say that we want to focus on the cylinders as our primary thing that we want to look at, and with a given height to say that we want this to be a nice and big plot that we can visualize easily. Let that run. Here we go, and sorry. So this is a kind of let's scroll down a little bit so we can sort of visualize what's going on here. You can see what we have on here, columns as well. So if you want to plot com MPG versus cylinders, you can look. So here if you want to plot highway MPG versus city MPG, you can look at this plot here. So you can see here that you can find interesting linear relationship between different columns here. So for example, just looking at the cylinders column here, we can see that there's a pretty clear relationship between the number of cylinders and the MPG, whether it is city, highway or combined. So it is the number of cylinders increases, we can see that MPG tends to be dropping, but there is a really wide spread here for 4-cylinder vehicle. So there is more to the story here. In the world, the 4-cylinder vehicles, some are really bad, some are really good, really big spread there. So already we have got some useful insight there into our data. So we can also use this scatter plot in C1 1.9. It's just a sort of a prettier version of the matplotlib 1. Basically, you can plot individual data points across any two axes you want and see how your data distribution across those dimensions. So let's say SNS.scatterplot, where we are gonna say the x-axis is gonna be engine displacement, y is gonna be combined MPG, miles per gallon, and for the data itself, we are gonna refer to our df data frame from our raw data. So this is gonna pluck out those two columns and plot them against each other on a scatter plot, and there you have it. So each individual point in our data frame is being scattered onto this plot that maps that particular points, engine displacement and combined MPG value. And again you can see there is a relationship here. So already we are getting some insights from visualizing that data. Again, the low engine displacement tends to have a very wide spread of MPGs, but in general, the bigger the engine displacement, the worse the fuel efficiency, which should not be that big of surprise, right? Another cool thing in C1 is the joint plot. This lets you visualize scatter plots and histogram at the same time on each axis. So let's take a look at that same spread of engine displacement versus COM MPG. But this time we are gonna do a joint plot instead of a scatter plot. Here's what it looks like. So we have the same scatter plots before, but we have histograms overlaid on each axis. So we can see over here on this side the histogram of MPG ratings. Okay, so we can visualize that every easily and sort of see how is this data all rolls up and up. Here we have a histogram of the engine displacement values at all. So this make it a lot easier to tell that the most common engine displacement is around a little bit under two ladders, right? So that's a little bit an easier way of like trying to figure out how many dots are in a given column. Here a section, because a lot of times they can overlap and that data is not really that intuitive to figure out. The histograms make this distribution of data easier to see. Another thing C1 offers IM plot, and that's just a scatter plot with the linear regression applied to it automatically. So I can say that same scatter plot, but instead a scatter plot LM plot gives me back this same exact scatter plot but with a linear regression applied to it. And if you look really closely, you can see there's a sort of a shaded line here. You sort your bounds on that regression, and we will talk about linear regression in more depth later in this course. But basically we are fitting a line to the data that we have a very simple concept back in matplotlib. We talked about box plots, and C1 has its own version of it as well, box and whiskers plots. In this example, let's take a look at each vehicle manufacturer and visualize the miles per gallon rating across the vehicles they produce. So that's gonna give us the spread of MPG ratings across all the vehicles each manufacturer offers of MPG ratings across their entire product. Alright, so there is a lot of manufacturers, so we are gonna have to do a couple of things here. Advantage of what C1 offers. First of all, we are gonna set the figure size to 15,5. that just make it bigger so we can fit more information on the screen. We will then define the box plot itself. We are gonna say we want to plot the manufacturer on the x-axis and the combined MPG values on the y-axis using our original data from here is the data TF, and we are gonna say that box plot into on AX variable. We will then set the tick levels on that plot to have a 45-degree rotation. That way they will be easier to read that data. So the syntax here is run says set x tick levels on the x tick levels that we get back from that plot with a rotation of 45 degrees. So it basically saying I want to set the levels on the x axis to the existing levels. Leave them unchanged but specify rotation of 45 degrees. So let's go ahead and kick that off. The set x tick levels command put out some output here as part of here is the chart itself, pretty interesting. You can see that 45-degree angle that we specified on the levels here being used there. But easier to read, and you can look at the spread of MPG values for each individual manufacturer. So pretty interesting. Volkswagen has a really wide range. For example, where Aston Martin is pretty tightly clustered. Volvo also pretty tight here. So interesting stuff. And General Motors tends to be clustered here around mid 20s or so, but they have a lot of outliers up there here on the higher end as well. So seems there's a few very efficient General Motors cars out there as well. Then we have Ferrari, obviously not very good MPG because people who drive Ferraris care more about performance than fuel efficiency, I think. So interesting insights to be gained from this box and Whiskers plot here of fuel efficiency across the models for each vehicle manufacturer that we know about. Fun stuff, and it's pretty too. It's modern pleasing colors, and that's kind of what C1 gives you out of the box. There is also the swarm plot, which instead of boxes and whiskers plot each individual data point, but it actually group them together in a way that makes it easier to visualize them. So it makes more sense when you look at it. We all just do a swarm plot on the same exact thing. So when the manufacturer name and combined MPG form our data frame DF frame, again we will set the rotation to 45 degrees on the x-axis and kick it off. Only difference here is we are doing a swarm plot instead of a box plot. You can see here it's out of the box. In Whiskers we are just getting this different format where we are sort of these points here to actually represent the distribution of the data pattern. So each individual vehicle is being plotted to a point on this graph, but we are grouping those points together horizontally to try to reflect the distribution of those points a little bit better. So it's a way of looking at the raw data a little bit more so than in the box plot, but it's still grouped in a way that gives you the same information as the box plot, just with more refined information. So this is what we call a swarm plot. You can get the same result out of it. So again, looking more deeply into Volkswagen, you can see that they have a pretty wide spread. Here's a bunch around 30 and a bunch around 10, and nothing much in between. So kind of a curious case there, and I think that's because Volkswagen actually owns a bunch of different brands that very different markets. So we are kind of probably seeing the consumer vehicle up here and the performance vehicle way down. Here would be my guess. General Motors, very tightly clustered in this range. Here they are more about mass market vehicle. So they kind of want to be in that sweet spot there of things that perform reasonably well, but also perform well to kind of appeal to an American audience. Anyway, just another way of looking at it. One more is the count plot, basically the same thing as histogram, but it's for categorical data. So a histogram really is only a histogram if you are dealing with numerical values. If you are dealing with categorical, through that called a count plot. So let's just look at it as an example here. Again, let's abstract the manufacturer names and just take a look at how many cars each manufacturer makes. So we are going to a count plot counting up how many vehicles each manufacturer has, and again we will rotate them by 45 degrees so we can actually read those X labels, and there you have it. So just like a histogram, except that it's a broken down by category. So there is no real inherent meaning to the actual order that these appear in. They are just counts broken down by category. That's all there is to that count plot is. So you can see pretty clearly here that General Motors has the most number of car models available, followed closely by BMW, and again these are big companies that own other manufacturers. So we are not necessarily saying that there are over 100 different BMW models on the market. Those include other brands they own as well. But on the other hand, here there is a few number of Aston Martin models and a very low number of Rolls-Royce models, for example, so that you can really see the distribution here of how many models its manufacturer produces very easily. Finally, let's take a look at a heat map. Heat maps are fun. So they are a way to plot a 2D data, but where the colors represent the individual values within each cell of that table. So it make more sense again if you just look at it. Let's make a pivot table from our original data frame to create a 2D table mapping average MPG rating for each combination of the number of cylinders and engine displacement. Let's take a look at this heat map that we got here. We are gonna say pivot table on our original data frame just to extract the 2D information, basically a 2D array that maps the combined MPG for each combination of cylinders and engine displacement. So basically we are ending up with here it's a kind of like a data frame, right, where we are mapping the cylinders against engine displacement with individual cells in that plot containing the MPG for each combination. And we are going to aggregate these together using means. So we are gonna say we want to look across all the different values and take the meaning for each individual combination of cylinders and engine displacement. So if there is more than one car that has, say, a 4 cylinder 2.0 liter engine, we will take the average of all those cars together to arrive at the value in that cell of that plot. Okay, so this is what that plot looks like as heat map. Now a lot of data is missing because apparently there is no such thing as a 12 cylinder 1 liter engine. That would be crazy, but this represent all the values that we actually have data in our data frame, and the actual color of each pointer correspond to the value of that cell. So for example, here is the legend of what those colors mean. Black is somewhere around 12 mpg. So if you have a 16 cylinder 8 liter engine, that's going to have a really horrible fuel efficiency on an average of just 12 mpg. Okay, so that's how you read this thing, and you can see just by looking at it that as you up to this end of the plot, this corner here you have a low number of cylinders. How engine displacement, those have very light colors because they are more fuel efficient as you get down towards this corner here of lots of cylinders and lots of engine displacement. You get into worse and worse fuel efficiency. So this heat map makes it very easy to visualize how those actual MPG ratings changes as a function of where they are in this plot. So that's a heat map. Alright. Okay, thank you watching for this video, and